Yeah.
Want to do that again?
Susan will be attending via Zoom.
Sue's here, staying off camera. You don't want to see Sue right now.
Did they push you to?
No, but the mayor wanted asked people to come kick me afterwards, which, he's going to pay me.
All right then. Well, roll call, everybody is present. Conflict of interest, if anybody has anything to declare, they can do so now. Seeing, hearing none. Addition, deletion, or approval, or an approval of the agenda, does anybody have anything to add or delete from the agenda? Seeing none, and I will look for a motion to approve the agenda. Councilor Saunier, seconded by Councilor Bent. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion passed. Approval of the minutes, we just have the regular council meeting of July 3rd, 2024. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for July 3rd.
Moved, Councilor Dealey, seconded by Councilor Thompson. Question on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? Seeing none, motion passed. And presentation to council for the 2023 financial statements, Mr. Keith McLean. The floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me here tonight. It was a pleasure being of service for the rural community. So as mentioned, my name is Keith McQueen. I'm a senior manager at Keith Saunders Doyle, primarily one responsible for completing the audit this year. My goal here tonight is to go over the financial results. At a fairly high level, I do understand that this is the first year that we're looking at audited financial statements for the rural community. So I'm certainly want to leave enough time for questions as they come up on what the balances represent. I think the statements were distributed as part of your package, your board package. So starting on the first couple pages of the report. This is our independent auditors report. This is more or less what you folks provide us, pay us to provide you. It goes over the responsibilities of management and council. It boils down to, and it's the important part of that section is the last sentence of the first page. Overall, council is responsible for the financial information contained in these financial statements. What they do to fulfill that obligation is they may ensure they hire qualified people to complete the day-to-day accounting, making sure there's enough sufficient controls in place, and then also hire us as auditors to come in and verify the information. That gets into our responsibilities, which are all detailed on page 2. They're fairly lengthy, but what we do as auditors is we come in, we try to assess the risk area, the higher risk area sections of the organization. In this case, a lot of it revolves around capital, your surplus deficit. Those are numbers that are fairly sensitive and important to the users of the statements. So we've done that work, and our goal is to come to you, council, and express an opinion on the financial statements so that they comply with the correct accounting standards. And we've done that as part of the first couple paragraphs on page 1. Keep in mind, there's a couple components here I really want to touch on. The accounting standards that municipalities follow are public accounting standards for. So that differs a little bit from what you typically see under your accounting standards for funding requirements, which is more of a bit of a cash-based system. So the statements and the balances that you're looking at here, and what we'll get into later tonight, there is some accounting differences that make the numbers look a little different than what they would under funding purposes. And there's reconciliations as part of the statements to help explain that. We are issuing what's called a qualified audit opinion. We were able to do our work, sufficient work, and express an opinion that there's no areas where we encountered any instances of fraud or error. There is one area where these statements don't comply with public sector accounting standards. Under the standards, there's a requirement to set up a post-employment benefits payable. a pension liability, more or less, and Linda was part of that plan from March to December 31st. The issue you run into, especially with organizations that are formed in your first year, the valuation report doesn't get done till late this year. I think the last report was done for municipalities in December of the year, the following year. And what they would typically do under that valuation report, they would do the valuation piece and they would extrapolate for the upcoming year. The issue was funded shores didn't exist and Linda wasn't part of the plan in 2022 to do the extrapolation on the 2023 numbers. So we don't know what that number is. And it's not that there's anything wrong, it's just we can't set up anything if we don't know what the number is, more or less. That will be corrected ideally this year once they've gone through the valuation process, and next year we'll essentially have a clean audit opinion. Again, nothing wrong, it's just a scope limitation more or less on the information that is available to report that liability at this point in time.
And I'll just add to that, the people responsible for the pension plan are going through those valuations now. I was actually on the phone with them this week or last week, so they are working through that. It's just, for this is our first year, they're playing catch up a little bit.
So everybody's first year would be the same.
Yeah, and we're running that, we do a number of municipalities, and I think we're running into a similar situation, we're experiencing some delays with some of our other work because of this piece as well. That is our auditor's report. Is there any questions on that before I get into the statements? I'll flip to page 3. This is our statement of operations. So this lists off all the revenues of the organization and then the expenditures and your resulting surplus for the year. And this is an area I want to spend a bit of time on because this is an area where you'll see a fluctuation on what your surplus looks like under public sector accounting standards. Yeah, what a little bit of this.
That what we're looking for?
Yeah, that's the page there. So that this is an area where the accounting standards of the public sector accounting standards differ from what your funding surplus would be. So you can see you're reporting a fairly large surplus this year. The ending number is 342,000. The main driver of that surplus, it's under the revenue line. If you would like to scroll up a little bit, it's under conditional or other government transfers, and that's related primarily to the value of the building, the equipment, all the capital funding that you receive. The rules around that under accounting standards are we set that asset up on your as an asset, and then the revenue piece or the other side of that entry or the funding piece is reported as revenue in a year as long as you've met the eligibility criteria. So there's a timing difference on when you recognize the revenue versus the expenditures, because that asset is expensed, and we would bring a portion of that asset in as an expense over the useful life. So in the building's case, it's 40 years. So the cost of the related assets, 1/40th is recognized as an expenditure this year, and it'll keep being amortized over the useful life of the asset. But the funding is coming in as revenue the year you receive the building. It's kind of set up as we kind of deemed as a fair market value of the building primarily. So that's primarily what's going into most of that other government transfers line. There was some additional funding for, I believe, the library, but the vast majority of that balance is, along with some of the property tax, along with capital items. The total capital addition for $213,000 this year. So when you're really looking at this surplus and say, okay, 342,000, you really have to carve off 213,000 to get as part of that reconciliation to your funding surplus. And then also the other big piece that really changes here is you receive funding every year for transfers to your reserve funds. So the accounting of the public sector standards, it's more of what you would call an equity transaction. It's not recognized as an expense, but you're getting the money. So again, you're reporting a surplus, but it's never for public sector accounting standard purposes, it's not an expense. So because of that, that's about 75,000. So if you really do the math on this, what you're really left with the real operating surplus was about 61,000 this year. And there's a note that really that goes through a bit of this reconciliation. It's note 12, it's on page 14. That really shows some of those changes.
Would you like that one?
Oh, yeah, sure, we can pull that up quickly. But this is a big piece that's really important when for really council to understand, because it can be something when you really look at these financial statements that can be a bit misleading. When you look at your surplus number and understanding what's your true operating surplus versus what's the public sector accounting standard surplus. Because it can tell a bit of a different story here. So really, what the difference is you're kind of broken up between your general operating fund and general capital fund. So at the end of the day, we do a reconciliation of here what that annual surplus is on the top line versus the bottom line, which is your funding surplus. So you can see it's a combination of items. It was your general capital fund, which was primarily the contributions of the building and assets. The amounts you received for your reserve funds, the transfers that were approved there, and the 61,000, that was really your operating fund surplus, and that's what needs to get absorbed in future budgets as well, so. I'd like to stop there just for a second to make sure that makes, if there's any questions there, because that is a big piece, and I want to make sure that it makes sense. Okay. Perfect. So I'll go back to page 3 to really go over what makes up that $61,000 operating surplus this year. And there was a lot more details further on in the statements as well. Starting on page 17, I won't get you folks to flip to them, but we can go over them if there's any questions. But if you really want to look at it, your actual budget results on the revenue side, the difference in that we were talking about on that other government transfers is primarily the capital piece. Where you're seeing your operating surplus is primarily on the expenditure line. So it's primarily on a few different areas. Your general government services were under budget this year. I think there was some challenges. The budgeting process was probably a little bit difficult to get a good gauge in some areas. So there were some areas that you received some additional budget funding. I know there was like a $30,000 budget line item that wasn't dropped in on. I think the council was really good about spending within that line under the general government services line in general. Most areas were under budget, so good to see that you're very successful in managing costs in that area. Protective services, again, I think it was primarily training on that area while you were under budget. When it came in, I think there was a larger budget for certification, which you had certification, so what didn't need to incur the expenses. Environmental health services, that one was the only one that was actually over budget on the expenditure line, and that was primarily related to contracting with Dillon Consulting, I believe. And that's just because I think, and also there was a bit of a fluctuation on your solid waste charges, so I think you're evaluating your options there in your tender process there. So that I don't think was part of the budget, more or less. So that was an additional cost beyond that. But overall, then the recreation line was a bit of a difficult one to budget on. It was a bid, you're significantly under budget there. Again, I think that was another area that was very difficult on the budget process to determine what some of those line items would be. The biggest piece there was repairs and maintenance, I believe, and then there was a general other bucket as well. I think just coming into the building, it wasn't sure how much repairs would be required to the building. It ended up being a lot less than budgeted, so better story than the other way around. So good to see, but that's primarily what's really driving when you look at yours. When you say, okay, compared to a funding budget of 61,000, it's primarily general government recreation. It's netted with your over budget on the health, environmental health services. That's really driving that. That's all I really had on this page. Unless there's any other questions, I'd like to flip to the next page. So the next page just is your statement of financial position, and this really shows you, when we just talked about our accumulated surplus, what makes up that accumulated surplus. So what does it mean when we say we have a surplus of 342,000? It's broken out into two main sections I like to look at: your net assets, which represent your financial assets, and your non-financial assets, which is primarily the building, equipment. There was computer hardware and software that were built in there. And that is that other line where we were talking about earlier, putting the cost of those assets as a non-financial asset. And you can see here under this, overall, there's $213,000 spent on capital. We've only recognized an expense of $9,500. And you'll continue to recognize that expense over the useful life of those assets. And computers obviously depreciate a lot faster than the building. So it's at various rates. So there's again, a big timing difference on the statement of operations. But overall, your net assets there, so that's primarily cash. You had $324,000 in your bank account at the end of December 31st, 2023. And there was some receivables. There was a receivable from the Thompson Sewage Commission. The federal government's primarily HST rebate. And then the province of New Brunswick was computer reimbursement that was timing. You'd spent the money on the computers, need to put in a claim to get the money. So the money came in after year end. Under the liability line, that's $210,000. So that's what you owed. You owed at the end of December 31st, 2023. That was paid shortly thereafter. So this statement is at a point in time. The biggest component there is $189,000 related to the fourth quarter solid waste and animal control amount. That's $189,000 to $109,000 we ended up. So the vast majority of it's that one liability that was paid afterwards. The way I also like to look at this too, your net asset line, again, is your assets, your cash minus off your payables and liabilities. What that primarily is your operating surplus of $61,000 plus $75,000 you have in reserves. And there is a note there under, I didn't note it, I believe it is note 15, if I remember correctly. That does note what is sitting in your reserves. No, 13, sorry. So yeah, under your general operating reserve was your $50,000, under your general capital reserve was $25,000, and those were transfers that were approved, I believe, at the last meeting in 2023 to make sure they were reflected on these statements here. So people that do ask on your net assets, what makes that up? Current reserve plus your reserve balances. Overall, the next couple pages are just more or less reconciliation pages. I don't really want to take you through them in too much details. Page 5 just goes over the statement of your changes in that net asset balance, which really just shows you kind of is another way to reconcile to your net asset balance. Statement of cash flow just goes through the reconciliation of where you spent your money this year, where your money came in, where you spent it. And then there's the notes to the financial statements. They go over what the purpose of the organization. There was a note explaining the assets that were transferred in, and that it was the financial was been formed this year. As a result of primarily the Musquash as part of the Local Governance Act. There's a long note on your accounting policies. They're all fairly standard for municipalities. There's nothing unusual yet, I would say. That for the accounting policies we're following. There really typically isn't a lot of choice under public sector accounting standards for municipalities. There's not a lot of choice in what standards you follow as far as options. So, and there's a lot more detail on some of these numbers come up that we just talked about. In the interest of time, I don't want to go through them with you folks, but I certainly would love to jump to if there was any questions on any of the notes. I'd love to jump to them. Maybe I'll stop there before.
Anybody have anything? No? Okay, did Sue have anything?
So,
No, I'm good. Thanks. That was a good overview I was following.
Thank you. No, Sue.
That's very deep, yeah. No, just to really summarize as well, one point we really like to touch on as we conclude is just our audit process itself. One of the things under our responsibilities is to assess the controls of the organization and how they impact our audit. So it was encouraging to see there was a good amount of thought that we observed when the organization started about putting the right processes, the right systems in place. You're not a big organization, so I won't lie, you don't have the controls of a bigger the town of Rossay, for example, but well, should you, right? Because you're not the town of Ossay, for example, right? You don't have a full team of accountants, right? But you put in enough offsetting controls and approvals, I think, and I think there was a lot of thought given when you folks came together as an organization to get this right the first time. And I think I've observed that coming in as an auditor and seeing from other municipalities that there seems to be a lot of good practices for your size of organization. There's been no real control weaknesses that we've identified for your level of organization. And also the accounting records are fairly clean. The adjustments that we proposed and primarily what we would call your transition adjustments between your funding, what you would look at for funding versus public sector accounting standards, which we run into with all of our municipalities. They changed the rules around that. I still remember the day when we were reporting two separate statements, one for funding purposes, one for public sector standards, and this became the set of standards. But so, yeah, so I think really there's nothing unusual there. So I think that's a good credit on the team, Linda and all the team here about making sure you're starting in a good foot. And also, I mean, if you put the right base in place now, it really helps as the municipality grows. I know next year, I didn't even mention that, but next year you also have the fire hall, which was not reflected in these financial statements. So as the only municipalities going to be going, right? So it's good you have the right controls in place. That is all I have tonight.
Perfect. Yeah, if nobody has any further questions, just to be sure. No, it all looked good, and it's good to hear that we, a lot of that was all on Linda, all the processes and everything's in place. She deserves the credit, and not only, well, Linda deserves the big chunk of the credit, but also coming into this, on this budget, it would have been the transition team. And I know Tina and Heather and them, for sure, Deanna, were part of that transition team, so I guess it is most of the team here. They deserve the credit for putting all that in place and starting us off on that good foot going forward. So I look forward to next year that hopefully that continues, because then it's on all of us here. So so hopefully we continue to grow in a good way. So no, I appreciate that. So there's no further questions. We will look for a motion, or I'll look for a motion to accept the financial statements for the year ending December 31st, 2023.
Make a motion to approve.
Financials, yeah, 23. Seconded by Councilor Sonia. Any further questions on that motion? All those in favor of it? Against? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Well,
I
thank you.
appreciate it.
Appreciate the time today.
I'll get everything signed and sent off to you. Do you need a wet copy or is a scanned copy?
We can try a state copy one, and if it doesn't come through, maybe, well, I can drop it out here. It's not a big one, maybe pick up the copies.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you for the report.
All right, thank you, folks, and have a great rest of your night.
That is passed. Number 7, business arising from the minutes.
Thank you.
Looking, I wanted to make sure I was on track. A logo update. The logo has been vectorized and now is available for use. We're slowly changing it over. So you'll see it more and more coming out on all of our stuff. It started, I guess, this week. So last week, it's just slowly making its way into everything, so. Yeah. So it's available. Everybody has seen it.
Yeah. It's a circle.
Stop that. Their logo. B, ecotourism brochure update. So you all have a copy of it there, which looks way better. It looked awesome on the internet. It looks way better in person. So before I read all this off, I do want to thank everybody for it. I know we always say Linda, most of it, but also the tourism committee and Lorraine and Heather. I know they were here a few times when I was here working on it and trying to crunch everything together. So turned out really, really nice and, we're getting good reviews back from it, like I said, from online, so. When I seen it here in person, it looks, so everybody that's watching and they see it, they're gonna be even more impressed, so.
Can I add something? I believe we budgeted to print this year and we were under budget, I believe.
We had enough money left in the budget, and I
Yeah.
know it's part of Denny's notes, to. Oh, my land, translate it and then do a second printing in French, so, because the tourism centers I've been in contact with, some are okay with just English, but some have requested brochures in both official languages, so.
So on that note, before I get to the quick update is on the tourism centers, because I did receive a few messages on it. So even though the province doesn't have any more the official, like on the highway, the tourism centers. There are tourism and welcome centers within most of municipalities or in a lot of communities. And I know I spoke with some of them in St. Andrews that over the years have actually pushed people.
Yeah.
This way for the La Pro Falls, New River Beach, some of the trails, so. So we're hoping to expand on that, so just so people understand that this is. I believe a great promotional tool along with a tourism tool, so I think it combines to both and yeah, they will be distributed out. So on that, a printer has been found to print approximately, well, it is 300 copies. And the cost works out to approximately $2.59 per copy. And they're gonna be released to the tourism, I call them welcome centers, but tourism centers, and local businesses. We're gonna print here, or we already did.
I'm not gonna bother because the printer had them so quickly,
Okay, and
I-
that's why I was wondering, the box came fairly quick.
very quick.
So the 75 that we were gonna print here, we're not gonna print, we're just getting the translation finalized on the other ones and. So, and that was good to hear on the translation that other places. Towards Moncton or Memramcook.
Moncton, Memramcook, and even the
Yeah.
northern part of the province have requested it to be.
So
in
they,
English, so.
yeah, so they've asked for them, so that's a really good indicator of. Yeah, so it's exciting because like I said, that puts our name out there and gets people in too, so. So kudos to everybody and again, I wanna make sure I know I harp on it a lot, but about the committees. Because. You know, they are the ground floor and they're the ones that bring the ideas to council and they're putting a lot of their time in too and it is volunteer, so. Kudos to our tourism commission. C, the Environmental Trust Fund Project Greenhouse Gas Study. So the information's been provided to fund the engineering to conduct a study. The results are anticipated in the next 3 months. The scope is attached to the agenda. First draft has been received and is being reviewed. Is there any more information, any questions on the?
When I was reviewing the first draft, there was an opportunity to get an energy assessment done. And they're really focusing, because this building's all electric now, they wanted to focus on the firehouse to see where some energy efficiencies could be found. So they're providing a quote because the funding we received is a little bit more than we needed to complete the 2 studies that we're doing. So I'm hoping to get that worked in under that provincial funding at the same time. But I'll bring that back to council before doing anything with it.
Right. Any other questions on the study? See now. Climate change adaptation plan, the terms of reference, draft terms of reference have been provided. And will need to be adopted for the project, and they were all in your package. So we will be looking for a motion to adopt that terms of reference. You want the 2 separate yeah, I can't do it all. So we'll look for a motion for the terms of reference.
Make a motion to accept the terms of reference as submitted in our package.
Councilor Dearly moves, seconded by Councilor Thompson. Don't fight. There'll be more. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Against? Seeing none, motion carried. Sue still with us?
I'm still here.
Good. Just want to make sure I don't forget you if you have any questions. Committee appointment, The committee list is attached to the agenda or in your package. Committee will be considered an ad hoc committee and is anticipated to be active for a period of 8 months for 2 hours each month. For primarily, I believe, is a Zoom meeting. Additional members may be requested as the project develops. And
I was contacted today, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Brianna Cowie, she was on under the list of potential people that I hadn't heard from. And she actually said she was interested in it, or available and interested in the project.
Okay.
So if she could be added to the committee. That'd be swell.
Has the Plenty Fishermen's responded at all?
No, I reached
They
out,
really should be part of this, yeah.
yeah, I reached out to them via email and I believe. Danny, did you touch
yes,
base?
and nothing.
Yeah, we haven't heard back from our invitation.
So on that and I also reached out to the Clam Factory. We just been passing each other and missing every time I get there, they're gone or they're, so we did, and I did reach out, but she's on the list is Mike Archeolis from the Oysters.
Yes, I saw.
And he was really interested, which is good. He wanted to be proactive in it. So with the list that's there, once before I move this as a motion, can the list still be, if they contact us
Yes.
after this is done, added, or will they come to another council to be reapproved?
I would bring the request to council.
Council, okay, but there's still room there.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So we'll continue to reach out to both of them, because you're right, Miranda, I'd like to see.
Yeah, they really should. be
I
involved.
no, fully agree.
Leave it back then.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to, when I mentioned it to Mike and then for the, I'd like to have more local industry involved and kind of offset.
Did you get the Charlotte County Plan Association?
I didn't because I was gonna go through them and.
Well, that's Peter Mitchell. That's
Right, so
not-
they were gonna, I was going to ask them and then pass on to them. I didn't speak with the association directly.
Because
we can.
Michael and, what's her name, help me,
Michael Wanda.
yeah, Wanda, I think she's the chairman of it.
So if you want,
I'm not connected, but Eric could,
if you want to reach out and again, I think more, not the mayor, but the more, if the local clan and the
Yeah.
association want to come on, I'd be more than, I think sometimes we tend to forget those ones and we focus on the commercial side of it. And so if you want to reach out and let us know, that'd be great.
I'm
So I
on
would-
call with, I'm on a call with Funding North Friday morning, so I can bring it up with Amanda if you want. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I did send an email through to their.
To Amanda?
Yeah, their advertised email address and just
Yep.
having her back. That'd be great.
Okay, I'll nudge her Friday.
So I'll look for a motion to accept the committee appointments that we already have.
I move we accept the appointments for the committee as we have now.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Bealey. Question on the motion. All those in favor, against, seeing none, motion carried. Governmental reports. Is mine, I always said yours just now, yours is down there. So I just wanted to touch base on a few things, just I know it would be in the August meeting, but there's been a lot in July on policing. And it seems like it has been going on since March, but it just seems like it's been longer. So I guess it was all in July. So I want to thank everybody first for the community meeting. We had a great turnout, one of the actual biggest turnouts I've seen in a long time for most stuff, so that was a good indicator that we do have a problem. We needed to act swiftly and continue on the path that we're going. And in saying that, and again, it was only, I'm looking here, July 4th that the church was broke into again. And it was that whole week that I was doing interviews on the 10 to 12 break-ins within the area, most of them in New River, Pokologan. And when I got called to go down to see the church in Pokologan, and I was, no matter what your where you lie in the issue, it was completely disgusting. You know, to go in there and walk and see, especially in rural New Brunswick, a small church with a small congregation, you know, and seniors and stuff that put a lot into that, to see what I seen. It was, yeah, I was pretty upset when I left, and I made it clear to the officers that were there. So I also want to thank council. Because we had the meeting yesterday with Minister Austin and the Assistant Commissioner of the RCMP, and we left cautiously optimistic. I'm not going to get overly excited. I think we made some headway. I will say that. You're going to hear me the next day or two. I did interviews again all day today and tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. So council, I'm very proud of Fundy Shores and our council, our residents, our committees. But even more so during this whole RCMP policing issue, I feel Fundy Shores is leading the way. We've taken it on, and we are standing our ground on it. And we said that yesterday to the RCMP that, you know, we can talk all day. We want to see changes to mental health. We want to see changes to the Highway Act. There's a lot we want to see, but for us, we want to see police. We want to see them in the community. I don't want them to come in and be reactive. I want them to be proactive, you know, and associate with the community. So, you know, I'm hearing a lot of more good than bad in the community of how our council is really taking this on. So it's each of you that give the direction on that. So I really want to, you know, drive that home, that I am proud of this council of taking that stand, and we are leading the way. And I think we're going to see one way or the other, some positive things come out of it. I hope it all can happen tomorrow. I know it won't, but I think we're making some great progress in doing.
I'd just like to add that with Hoboken Church, the lady that has dealt with the police there has nothing but good things to say about how they handled things. And there was sort of, I guess you might call it a mental health incident that she got involved with, and had to phone the police as well to do with the church. And again, they asked all the right questions. They did all the right things. They were really, really good.
And we've echoed that, and I've echoed it in every interview, and even yesterday during our meeting. I echoed it very strongly, that this for us, or for me, is not about the frontline officers. The frontline officers are doing 1,000% good job. They're doing everything they can within the tools they have. What we're asking for is them to be given more tools. And that comes from higher up, and that's where we were yesterday. So I'm hoping that we made some headway there. But the frontline officers are doing the best they can. We will always, I will always back them 100%. But changes need to happen from the top, and you know, and I was pretty clear yesterday. You know, Councillor Thompson was there, Linda and Deputy Mayor Ferguson, and you know, and I made it clear because I know that this is not something that is just a police officer being in the community. I know it's, you know, we had 2 arrests today in St. Stephen. They went to court this morning. They were out this afternoon. So I know it's the courts, you know, and to me, and it can be maybe a firm stand or not. And I said this yesterday to all the top people that were there, is there's criminals everywhere, but they're not going to be in Fundy Shores. We don't want them here. They're not welcome. And anything that we can do to get them out, then that's what we need to do. I want a safe community, and I believe in the, you know, 3 strikes works in baseball, and I think it should be in this. If you have the same criminal doing the same thing over and over and over again, then it's time for them to move on and do their business elsewhere. So I know it's a long rant, and I know I'm known for that, but I think policing is a big thing, and it's going to continue to be big. And I just want the residents to know that we're going to do everything in our power to make sure all of our boxes are checked to protect them. And so on that,
Hopefully we see more present.
And I strongly believe we're gonna see some changes. You were there. I'm cautiously optimistic. I don't want to get into, like I told the media today, is I'm not gonna get into the details and then read of what the discussions were, but I gotta give them their word. But we're not gonna wait months and months and months. We've had almost a year. We're gonna give them a little bit of time, but if they can't do the job, then we need to look at all options. So, we're not gonna let it go until we see results. And I know it'll be coming up again, but I know Tina's gonna speak about it, so I don't wanna get too much on that, but Community Days is coming up. We're excited, fingers crossed. Things are gonna be great. It's just, everybody stay off your phones, no weather apps. So let's hope for a good turnout. This is, I know Tina, again, back to the committees, Recreation Committee. Put a lot of work. I know this is our second kick at the can, so I know they've done a lot of work. Tina has, put a lot into it. The binder still a little thick, but it's looking good. So I hope everybody can come out, the bingo Friday night it starts and enjoy the yard sailing and Sunday to really kick it off. Everybody come out and have a good time and that's what it's about. So I'll leave the rest to Councilor Dealey to discuss, and that'll be the end of my rant. I know it's all policing, but seems that's what we're doing. And I will go to, I see how most of the things Susan's name's folded up there. Deputy Mayor Ferguson's report.
So my report was submitted online. Sorry, Linda, it was a bit late with. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Yes.
You didn't have anything else to add for any of did you want for committee or anything?
No, the Economic Development Committee has not met, and I just want to say I was happy to be at the meeting with Councillor Thompson, yourself and Linda yesterday, and I agree, some cautious optimism. So I think it was a good, long discussion and they got the point. So thank you.
Okay, appreciate you being there. Councillor Bent, and I know yours.
I submitted it online. I am reaching out to the committee to see where we land in members. There are 2 members that have never attended.
One of those two.
And I haven't been able to reach them by phone. They've never answered an email. Can I consider them? And then there was a couple of others, 2 phone numbers didn't work. But I have, I was calling everybody rather than emailing. And so I sent emails out to the individuals that I couldn't reach by phone. And so I'm just giving them a few days to. But yeah, it was looking, we're probably only gonna have a committee of about 4 or 5 maybe.
Are the 4 or 5 though fairly active, like it's not a.
Interested, yeah.
And again, I know we talked about it, but maybe at some point with merging, and I think we're probably getting closer to that, but. Find out first of the ones that you don't have, if they're not coming back in the 4 or 5, see what we do from there. Okay. Councilor Dealey.
So my Ward 2 report was submitted online. Since the report, set of keys that were found has been returned to the owner. And I just want to have, it is on the report, but there was 2, I did have 2 phone calls from concerned residents. One was regarding the potholes on the Wetmore Creek Road. They've since been repaired. And another phone call regarding the intersection at Route 790 and 795 with the yield sign and vehicles going through it again. Just to kind of bring it up. It's been an ongoing thing, but I did get 2 calls on that same vehicle, so. And that's all I have for that report. Do you want me to do the report? at
If
the
you
same time?
want to, or if you want to,
Sure.
wait, that's up to you.
It's a little bigger. Okay, so it was submitted online. And, we had our 5th meeting. Just kind of a really quick rundown, but, bingo. This Friday is now become part of Community Days. It just happened to fall on that Friday, so let's throw it in there. So bingo this Friday, doors open at 6:30 at the Musquash Fire Hall, Station 1.
Who set it up yesterday?
And it's perfect. It's booked for tomorrow at 4, so that's good. And so it's all set up and ready to go. So doors open at 6:30, bingo starts at 7. For that week only, all games will be winner take all. So it's nice. Everybody bring their friends. Saturday for the yard sales, the community yard sales, the 11th annual. So there's lots of yard sales listed. And then Sunday, we start with the breakfast at the seniors hall, 8 to 10. And then go over to the school opening ceremonies at 10, and lots of fun after that with ice cream, cotton candy, vendors. You will see some traffic control in the area for safety. So we have lots of vendors, lots of entertainment, stuff like that going on, so we'll hope everybody comes out. And pretty much all I have for that one.
So as volunteers, we are to show up at,
I'm going to contact, it depends how much we get done on Friday.
okay,
So the more we can get done on Friday, the less we'll have to do Sunday. Kind of weather dependent a little bit. We're able to have access to the school on Friday, so during the day, so we can get tables and all our gear, everything can be stored in the gym until that morning. So right now, we were saying 7, so it's looking a little later now, so 7:30-ish.
So you have to call the other together, so you need to call them number.
I think
That's what I'm asking.
I'm gonna send out a message to all council. I know it's Wednesday, but it's because of the weather, we're still a little bit not sure what we're gonna be able to get done on Friday. If they're calling for some rain on Friday, it kind of messes up our outdoor things that we were gonna do, so we'll have to wait and see, but I will definitely send out to all of the rec committee and council as to what's going on with when we're gonna be doing things, so I apologize, but there's really nothing I can do. I can't change the weather, so,
No, for sure.
but if I could, it would be sunny.
And calm.
Not too far.
I just, one quick note on your near miss at route of the intersection.
Yes.
So I would encourage, and we did, it came up a fair amount yesterday in our meeting, that people can contact the counselors and that too, but I strongly, and we need to strongly encourage them to contact the RCMP.
That's what.
Even if they say nothing's gonna be, it doesn't have to be, don't 911, there's a toll-free number, we put it on the media release. Contact them. They, and the assistant commissioner stressed that they want to hear from people. The more they hear from people, the more they know they can target this area, or they can, whatever the case may be. If they get 50 calls from another district and only 1 from here, then, yeah,
So
so.
gained a lot on Facebook with cameras of trucks or cars driving in and getting out of their car and walking around the house, whatever. And then you see the comments afterwards and they're saying, make sure you call the police, and they say they do. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's improved.
And that's what was relayed to us, and we have to echo that with the police, that has to be done, because that's what they want. If not, then, and every little bit can turn into something else of what they're investigating that we may not even be aware of. So,
And further to that, I know we do have, Linda has made some very nice brochures. And we are not delivering them door to door this year, that we did last year. Part of it due to the break-ins. People, I'm not real comfortable going into people's yards and leaving brochures, and I'm not sure that people would be too happy with me. My car would be on Facebook a lot, so no, nothing's being mailed out and nothing's being dropped off door to door. The stores do have, 2 stores in the community, and, we are gonna try to get them spread out a little more, so there'll be, all the yard sales listed and all the events, so they can be picked up.
So grab and fly.
Grab and fly.
Excellent. And well, and do we have extra for us to pass out, or is there they already distributed?
No, there's still some more.
Okay. All right, anything further? No good? All right, Councilor Sonia.
I submitted mine online. It was fairly quiet, and as far as the tourism committee goes. We got the brochure finished, and I added my special thanks to Linda for all the help she did getting it delivered.
Councilor Thompson.
I submitted mine online as well for both committees, CRA and Ward. I left a couple of things out of my report. I did attend the RCMP session at the Bundy Seniors Over 50 Club. As well, I attended the meeting yesterday with the Minister of Public Safety.
Okay. You were the what?
This is the gray matter.
For the trivia night.
All they heard was I'm gray matter. I'm like, okay, that didn't sound good. Okay. All right then. Well, then the more I should have read through my old report and I don't, and I ran on one thing because I forgot that I was able to go and give a certificate to Richard and yeah, Phyllis, Beatty on their 80th birthday, so I got to go and deliver that and, yeah, so happy birthday to Richard and Phyllis. So, okay, CAO report.
As submitted online, but I did have a couple questions, one will be regarding the rural plan, and I'll bring that up during the planning director's report. The other thing was the community library. And I know we have some movement in other areas that might benefit that library, so, well, I brought it up too early. I'm sorry. I'll bring it up later. Yeah,
Closed or?
yeah, it's gonna have to go to close because it's in relation to a land
Right.
purchase issue,
I
so.
was just gonna hit you and say, you would have hit me and said, shh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we'll wait. for
It's in
close.
relation to a land purchase issue, but it
Right.
has to go into close. My
Okay.
apologies. I got overexcited.
So it can come back around, just be closed.
Yeah.
So motion to accept the CAO report,
I'll make a motion to accept the report. as stated.
moved by Councillor Dealey, seconded by Councillor Bent. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those for, against. Motion carried. Planning and inspection, planning report has been submitted. Then, do you want the motion first? Or do you
Well,
want-
I just wanted to ask council's opinion on the rural plan as it's come back the second time or third time, whatever iteration we're in. And if council's comfortable and wants to see that, maybe call a public meeting, or if they feel more work needs to be done to maybe realign it with, or align it with, Bundy St. Martin's, which is where council seemed to be leading at the last meeting, but I wanted to ask. Or I can just stop.
No, it's a good
Oh,
point.
I'll go. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's
I don't, I'm the same as you. I find it
still-
even more confusing than it was.
Okay.
Same here.
So we've got consensus, with just that, but,
Simple is better.
Yes.
Keep it simple and
Susan, did you have any?
Yeah, I'm disappointed that Alex he did not incorporate, the other draft that we sent him that would add a simplistic plan to the front of all of the legalese. So I just wonder if you can go back to him and just ask him to do as we asked. So we can have the next draft to look at.
I will forward those comments to him. I just wanted to check before we got too far
Yeah,
into
no,
that.
and that's fair, and I wanted to be sure too.
I think the formatting also isn't friendly. Just. My thought, it keeps coming back in the same format and it's not a friendly format.
Okay,
Not sure
On
that
that
it's
note,
supposed to,
too,
but
was there ever a response as to the special policy for New River Beach that we had discussed at one of our meetings, that it be incorporated in all of Fundy shores and
the coastal area protection plan,
Yes,
we
yes.
did send that just back again, I think it was last week, Sue. Sorry, Deputy Mayor, and requested that some type of wording be added.
that it protects all the.
It should
the
be
coast.
for the whole Fundy Coast, not that special policy. It shouldn't just be for New River Beach.
No.
It should be for the whole area.
So that will go back again with.
Yeah, I believe he had added that, like, it didn't come back to council this last time, but yes.
So just,
Deputy.
yes, yeah, sure.
I think that was going to be added. I think it's just the formatting overall and some of the language that's being used, really. And I wonder if there's options that once they provide the next draft, if it doesn't change much, if we can send it to an external consultant to reformat it or make it what we want it to be before finalizing it.
We
You do have,
can,
you
but-
can do that, but
Costs.
exactly,
Yeah.
it will cost money to do that.
No, I understand that, but I mean,
But it
ideally,
is-
the planning commission, we get it right, yeah.
Right, so that's what our hope is, but it is a possibility to go, but then it would have to come back to council for approval to send that area to cost, or whatever that cost may be. But it is an option,
Yeah,
I'm with you,
hopefully,
Fran.
it won't come to that.
right? And that's what we're striving for and we're aiming for, so let's send it back, and if it don't come back the way council wants it or likes it, then we'll pursue that option.
I have a question. Are we paying
Extra?
extra for this?
No,
Okay.
it's part of the contract.
Okay, thanks.
And that's why we'd like to,
That's why we're getting what we paid for.
well, and that's why we'd like to get it done right this way, and then if we can't,
Yeah.
it's like all of our stuff. back to the
Yeah,
thing,
100%.
and we'll-
I
Okay,
don't know, I got it.
so we've got consensus on that, and we're gonna send that back off. So I still need a motion on the planning report to be accepted, the July report. What?
I didn't see.
Oh,
it.
okay.
She just gave me the look.
I didn't
I
get it.
know,
Stop
Planning
looking at it.
report, the planning report to be accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had submitted his planning director's report online.
Oh, okay.
yeah, not the rural.
Not the rural
plan. So not the rural plan, it's just a motion to accept his monthly report.
I guess I do have a question about that, and maybe it's more directed to Alf and not us, but I'm just gonna throw it there. When I read the report and it lists different, there was some land that had got subdivided, I'm assuming to build on. It is in the Masons Bay area, and I was under the understanding that we weren't looking at doing that, but yet it was,
Old plan versus new plan. The new plan had some restrictions around development in those areas, the old plan didn't.
that's what I was just wondering when I noticed that. Thank you.
Good.
Make a motion to accept the report as submitted.
Moved by Councillor Daly, seconded by Councillor. Spinning just around till Councillor Thompson. Questions on the motion? See none, all those in favor, against, seeing none, motion carried. Fire department, no, not, yeah, I didn't go back on tonight, but.
No, it's, that note's accurate, that it isn't available yet.
So no report from fire. Economic development synergy reports online. Everybody had a chance to read it, go through it? Yes, you did. Okay. I need a motion to accept the report.
I'll make a motion to accept the report as
Yeah.
submitted.
Start dealing moves, seconded by Councillor Brent, yeah, don't use second. All those in favor of the motion? Against? Motion carried. Recreation, Community Culture, Community Coordinator Report, June and July 2024 was submitted. Need a motion to accept it. Councilor Sonia moves, seconded by Councilor Thompson. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? I
Sorry.
was gonna say, I hope you're not saying against, because when you.
No, no,
Yes.
no, I did have a question. coming up.
Sure.
The dedication ceremony for White Hearts,
Mhm.
I'm noticing everything's being scheduled at 6 p.m. And if it's through the week, could it not be later in the evening, because there's a lot of people at work. They can't get there for 6 p.m. What do you think?
We could make that for other events. I just,
Is that
where we
right?
are,
Yes,
okay.
I don't mean this in, no.
That's-
not
yeah.
this, But no, in the future, maybe think about,
So
Later.
we'll take it under
Later.
advisement.
okay,
I'll direct it to staff
Sounds
to
good.
redirect it to.
now I'll agree with the motion.
Motion has been passed.
Okay.
Committees, Public Safety Committee, we will be having a Public Safety Committee, everybody else just did theirs. After this weekend. And stuff's over, so we will have one to report on. They have been updated on everything that's been going on though, so. When we do have the meeting, that's mostly gonna be the RCMP stuff. Right,
I submitted it on,
okay, no further, nothing you needed.
No.
Good.
nothing pertaining to us.
Okay. Correspondence received was UMNB, correspondence to Minister Savoy regarding priorities. Minister, it's 7:11. Minister Ames' response to the asset management request, 2022 forestry strategy for Enby Crown Lands. Any questions on the correspondence received that's been sent out in the package? The forestry strategy Crown Lands, that's my letter? Yeah, I thought so. So I will speak quickly on that because I wanted to bring it to council's attention. And I believe, I'm trying to make sure I get it right, you know, Councilor Thompson was in the meeting. Councilor Sonia was in the meeting with Mr. Irving and Eastern Trail.
Yes.
You were aware.
Yeah, I was in the backs.
So it was just more, I guess I learned some things there that night, few things. And I guess what they want to do is they're just trying to get more woodland or the woodland that they can already access to cut more inland and away from areas that they believe should be preserved, watersheds. The government's kind of directing them to cut wherever.
Go further, deeper into the woods.
Right,
basically.
so that's what the letter, the whole gist of the letter was about. Initially, the letter came to me without all the mayors, that they just wanted individual mayors to sign, and I wasn't fully content with that, that I felt that it should be a more unified voice. So they went back, they drew up the letter that is now part of the package, where they're getting a list of mayors to sign to have all the same voice. I know it went to council in St. Stephen just last week, their council, and not to put it on you guys, but their council did approve for the mayor to sign and send the letter off. So when I seen that, I got Linda to add it to our agenda because I want you guys to be made aware of it, and I just didn't want to sign something and send it off without. I'd like to have consensus on it, and if I don't, then that would help determine if I sign or don't sign.
So essentially, they're asking us to sign on to their new forest strategy that permits them to do more cutting inland than near coastal zones and watersheds?
Yes. It's land that some of the companies already own or have access to. So you know, more inland towards, say, I'm just throwing stuff out there, but towards Stoketown, Boys Town, in that area where they already have their service roads and their items are already there. Instead of, I think the one example was St. George watershed. That the government was allowing them or asking them to cut down there instead of some of the land in more inland. Probably a multitude of reasoning behind that, not sure. They did speak also on forest management, which was becoming a big deal here in the province, where as we just seen the wildfires in out west, that they're now not blaming fully, but part of the problem is they don't have a great forest management plan, and they're hoping to expedite it more so here in New Brunswick. So that was also part of it.
So really, they're just asking mayors to sign on to their new 5-year strategy, regardless of whether or not it affects their particular area or not.
Yeah, bottom answer or quickest answer would be yes.
I honestly don't understand the reasoning for that, Mayor. It's usually something I mean, I understand the new government, but I don't understand the reasoning for getting council's support if there's no change or strategy, application, or impact in our community.
They did mention how many people are employed by JD Irving in Fundy Shores, in
Right.
St. George, etc.
So if you go that route, I guess that would be some of the example that the employment, because of, I'll just say, it could even be the St. John, we're close enough to there, but even Lake Utopia paper, that the, I guess that was the reasoning, or some of the reasoning behind us signing down this way. Other reasoning Eastern Charlotte may have is because, again, they were confused too of why the government would send them more towards their watersheds and that way, and not more inland to other places. And we could be the same as, you know, out, we have a lot of forestry happening out back in the woodlands of, you know, 7 Mile Lake. So I think it was just they picked those areas. There's a list of mayors there, so it's not just a couple. I think they picked the areas where most mayors would either be impacted by the watershed cutting, the forest management, and also the jobs or the related jobs to forestry. That would be my take on it. I don't know if that helped any or hindered, but
Yeah, no, it's good to have the discussion overall. So what's their timeline?
a lot of them have already signed. I got it put on the agenda tonight just because I did want to have that discussion. I didn't want to sign it and send it off last week without having at least a discussion with council. Some have not taken it to their council, just they've signed and sent it off.
So it's a minimal impact to us.
Should be, but I guess we're just putting it on for our voice because of workers that we have in maybe like Utopia, or if the potential pain that,
We're actually talking about the cutting itself.
yeah,
Not so much employment.
Clear cutting.
So when
Clear
you're talking,
cutting.
like on the back of Wetmore Creek, they clear cut up there every once in a while, which changed our water in the wells and so on. They cut on the old St. John Road every, I don't know, every decade or something, they clear cut through there.
and
And
this,
those will be areas that they continue to do. They're staying away from the watersheds, correct?
watersheds or areas that are deemed environmentally or that impact possibly
Wells.
wells or waters, right? They want to be more inland or places where they already have their infrastructure in place to do the cutting, whether it's way out back of 7 Mile Lake or out there. They don't want to be, and I think they did, you guys were there as well, you know, they made that fairly clear that they didn't want to be affecting in and around communities and all that. They wanna be inland, but the government's kind of pushing them out for whatever reason. I know it's,
But we wouldn't want their trucks on our roads and around our children and so on either in the community. Better if they're behind the scenes.
and I support it for a variety of reasons. And one of them isn't even take us out in general. Just if it was for a regional or a Southwestern Brunswick thing of the watersheds, right? I don't want them. I don't feel if they get away with it in one, then they could be coming, it starts that trend, right? So, I threw my support behind it just for that, and it didn't matter to me what company or label it was. We also learned a lot of stuff that night about some of the woodcut, you know, how things are done, that we always drive by the highway and see a whole pile of clear cutting and this, and certain people get blamed for it, and it's sometimes not even those people that are doing that, it's another cutting company, or it's another, and I'm not trying to defend one over the other, but there was a lot of information that night that I found that was, it opened my
One thing
eyes.
I learned too is the forest, if you don't cut it. You have all the dead trees, and that's a fire hazard, like what happened in St. Andrews, I think.
And that was
They
meant-
pointed that out, you need to bring the new growth back to kind of protect the forest too. So.
And they brought up the St. Andrews fire, and they also brought up out west, a lot of the big fires they have out west is because they have no
They
forest
would not.
management.
Well, that was my concern up at the East Branch, where they're not allowing people to mow their grass on exactly on their plot, where a lot of people mow past. You're not supposed to move any trees that are down that, and you're creating fire hazards. Like, I didn't understand, you're also creating the area protects your.
And that would be government,
That's government, yeah.
yeah, and so
So, but for
the,
the similar reason.
right, and the
yeah.
companies coming out, that's what kind of this is about, is they're saying. The government should allow
Protect.
whatever people that have forest management programs in place. To go in and help alleviate some of that,
No, I agree.
so that was, so as long as we have consensus, so.
Yes.
Sue, did you have anything, or Deputy Mayor Ferguson, do you have anything further?
No, I don't think so. Honestly, I haven't taken the time to look at their new 5-year strategy. I have in past times, but I will take a closer look at it. But I mean, it's just interesting. They're getting community letters of support this time. I didn't realize in the past they had done that. So thank you.
Okay. Correspondence issue was Minister Austin, the meeting request for public safety, which we did yesterday, and again. I give kudos where it belongs, and Minister Austin did reply back to us fairly quickly for some of the other letters we've got, or government meetings that we've had. Minister Austin, did, respond quickly, and it was nice to have him and the Assistant Commissioner and all of the RCMP there yesterday. It was, we weren't fully expecting that, and went in and, it was, so anyway, we appreciated it. Let's see where we go. Approval of payments, the reports attached for general government at $187,755.26. Looking for a motion to accept that report. I get mixed up, so I was wondering why that flew down.
Motion to accept the report is submitted.
Moved by Councillor Dearly, seconded by Councillor Sonia. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against, seeing none, motion carried. Approval of payments for the Thompson Subdivision Sewage Commission. Will be a total of $1,259.14. Reminder that the payments will be recouped.
I just wanted to make a correction, instead of $268, that's $368, the total's correct, but just that one
Okay.
invoice is wrong.
So as long as you know the total is good. I'll be looking for a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept. Charges as
No,
shown as corrected.
seconded by Councillor Thompson. Questions on the motion?
No question. Why was the forest green on here included in the sewer commission?
Because they have to go in and clean up around the lagoon every so often. Yeah, so contractors can get in there and work, and it's
Same contractor that does here.
forest green, yes.
I just, I thought I had seen the name before, and that's why I was wondering.
And I'll add just on this item, we're having a meeting next week on the 13th at 6 p.m. for people in the Thompson subdivision area to try to get that commission reestablished. If nobody's interested, we're gonna have to form a commission somehow to get the bills paid, so it doesn't always happen at the council. So there's gotta be something. I'm still trying to figure out what that something is, but,
So,
and I'm not good at planning my vacation because that was supposed to be next week too, so
so on that,
be here.
just because I personally want to get this done and put it to bed, put it to rest, so on that, are we doing the mail out for
It's
just,
already done.
okay? And spread the word to get whoever, well, the last that we've been going on about this.
2 years.
More, it was, I was elected on whatever date, and it was the 16th that I been hammering away at the sewage commission, and then when we finally had a meeting, we had one person show up. So,
So if we can't get a commission in accordance with their current bylaws, we're gonna have to establish a commission and come up with a new bylaw to manage it.
Did
so
you
spread the
get
word.
hold of that lady that was on Facebook?
Yes, I did.
Maybe she'll join.
Yeah, no, I reached right out to her and she called me and it was a billing issue, so I had to push her off, not push her off, but you know what I mean, send her to Alan to talk to
So spread the word, August 13th, 6 p.m.
here.
here. We'll have enough room. Well, yeah, so, okay. Approval of accounts expense report that's attached, looking for a motion to accept.
Make a motion to accept the report.
Councillor Daly made the motion, seconded by Councillor Sonia. Questions on the motion?
I have one question.
Yep.
My goodness, but anyway, under, income and expenses, the recreational costs to the RSC,
Mhm.
8,637.92, is that every month we pay? And what do we get for that?
We get a portion of that money back quarterly. That's part of the RSC funding strategy that they're using where they invoice everybody a percentage.
Okay,
Yeah, it's under review right now.
okay.
The
I'm just
formula is
wondering
under
what,
review.
like-
I just know how his worship is feeling about this. But we did draft some recommendations and changes for that formulary. My understanding is they weren't well received and and another formulary is being put forward. So places like the Rural District can hopefully get some of their finances back that they invest because currently they don't.
We don't have anything to show.
Well, we give, I think it's either, I don't even know the number, it's not in front of me. But it's upwards of almost $100,000, isn't it, that we give annually?
At
And
this point, it's 60 and 70,000
Yeah.
right now,
so at the end of the
It's a
year,
little more than that, but
And then how do?
And we get-
Start our own system if we're giving money out.
well, we do get a portion of that back. I believe there's like a $19,000 difference that we don't get returned to us quarterly. That money, my understanding, is used to help service or fund other areas that our citizens go to. One being Patrick Corner, or
Patrick Connors Arena.
thank you. I always feel like I should be saying O'Connor. Patrick
But I
Connors.
thought that was included, confused. Susan, but included in our taxes, the 1 cent, 2 cent, and now they want 3 cents. But isn't St. Andrews pushing for a 3 cent instead of 2 cents?
I haven't
Oh,
seen the new
yeah,
formulary.
Yeah,
So-
we have it, we haven't reviewed the new formula fully yet, but there is a couple options on the table, we meet tomorrow night. There's a lot of discussion around it, and Fundy Shores disagrees with what's on the table. So that's why we're having another meeting tomorrow night. This is our second or third committee of the whole.
We can't be the only one that disagrees, are we?
We're the only one that disagrees with.
Nah.
One now.
I'm sure.
We didn't-
Oh,
we didn't-
add them because they don't have them. They don't have anything. They don't have the population or the tax base.
So we disagree with the formula now. And I don't foresee changes.
It's a weighted vote on how that
It's
formula
the
is
way to vote.
established.
So the vote right now, and I guess I'm on the record for it anyway, but our vote is no. For the changes. And. So, and again, I guess I can speak on it a little bit, not to get in depth, because maybe there will be some tomorrow night, but it's. If we're gonna pay money into something, I don't mind. But there has to be stipulations put in place for that money. So we did ask for a committee to be formed and Fundy Shores. If we're a major stakeholder in it, then we have 2 seats at the table. Of where that money goes, or at least to see if the money goes to a certain place. A couple things. One is how many of the residents of Fundy Shores uses that facility? And what is the cost? And we should have some say in that cost, if it's our money going into it, of where and how that money, that operating budget is contained. So that was my stance. The last couple meetings, again, everybody at the table, rightfully so, is defending what they believe is right. Yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. If there's not a significant change, our vote is no. I don't see a significant change coming. And it is a weighted vote, and that was my other concerns. So that's, I guess, where we're at with it right now. We asked for a whole new model to be accepted. We wanted it changed completely. And Linda did a lot of work on it for me to take, and we presented it twice now, and I believe our case should be upheld. But that's higher than me. So anyway, that's where that money goes, I guess, the law.
We do get all but like
Yeah.
$16,000 or $19,000 back.
It's
what's
not,
going in.
right now it's 19, I think it may be lower to 13 to 17, maybe, we're getting potatoes without the gravy, so. Yeah. I had a lot to discuss on it, but I don't think that that's
It's not the time.
not the
right?
time.
Yes, we only have 3 minutes left.
I think this is a little long.
So the invitation from 6 to 7:30.
Oh, never plan on that. That invitation's never gonna be accurate. I don't
Oh,
think.
you guys are watching me now. So, okay, so we had moved, seconded.
Question.
Any further questions on the approval of the accounts, the expense report? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting it, against? Deputy Mayor still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, just want to make sure,
You're awfully quiet.
right? Pain meds.
Yeah, that's what I think.
New business. 2023 annual report. Following the approval of financial statements year ending December 31st, 2023. Fundy Shore is required to prepare an annual report. The annual report is drafted in pursuant to section 105 of the Local Governments Act. A draft copy is attached to tonight's agenda for council's consideration. Once approved, the financial statements and annual report are published to our Fundy Shores website. Everybody reviewed it.
I thought it was very lovely.
Good job.
What great staff we have. So. I'm impressed with my signature. That's all I got.
And the quote at the front.
And a quote. A good quote. So I'll need a motion to accept the report.
Let's just accept. I move.
Councilor Sonia, seconded by
Second.
Councilor Dealey. Questions on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Against? Motion's carried. Lighted up for NDEAM request. A request from Avenue NB has been received to participate in a national campaign for disability awareness called Light It Up for, am I saying that right, just NDEAM or is it? Light It Up for NDEAM is an annual national lighting event that takes place during National Disability Employment Awareness Month. It recognizes how people who have disability contribute to business and their communities. October 17th, 2024, municipalities, government buildings, and other businesses across Canada are requested to light up in blue and purple to show support for the employees with disabilities. We will look for a motion to approve that.
But, excuse me, before we do that, I didn't think we could change our colors.
We don't have a means to change our colors, so I was going to say we can maybe, what I did last time for Lyme disease was change the banner on our website for that period of time. To be like that.
Until we get.
When we get our new building.
Right,
Floodlights.
I'll have something special.
as long as they don't pollute the next stuff.
So we're good for that. I need a motion to move it.
I move that we light it up.
Councilor Bennett. Councilor Bennett. Moves to light it up.
I'll second the motion.
Councilor Ridley seconds that motion. Questions on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
I
Yes. What?
I didn't do
You want my gavel? You're good for, okay. I need a motion to go into closed session.
Okay, you're not good. I was
No,
gonna say. you wanna
okay,
read your
see,
announcements?
I was going, I seen it there and I thought we were gonna do it afterwards. Because once we go into close, we want to come back in. All right, announcements. Do you want me to do next meetings too? Sure. Next meetings, 15A, before we go to closed session, committee of the whole if needed. Here at the community building, August 21st, 6 p.m. Next regular council meeting will be here at the community building. September 4th at 6 p.m. 16 announcements. Fundy Shores Community Days kicks off this Friday, August the 9th and continues all weekend. Check out our Facebook page for the details or find the printed pamphlets at the Wilsons in Maces Bay or the LaCroix Irving in LaCroix. B, Operation White Heart is August the 12th at 6 p.m. here at the community center. C, Sewerage Commission is August 13th at 6 p.m. here at the community center. And free community movie night is August 16th, 8 to 10 p.m. at the New River Takeout in New River Beach. New River Beach Takeout in New River.
Now, if we do not live in Taunton subdivision as council, we don't need to be in that meeting.
Not if you aren't available, no, it's fine.
Is it helpful if we do?
We're just trying to get interest from the public, so if you don't have to come, if you're not available,
I think,
I sent the
If-
invitation out. to
yeah,
everybody,
to
so-
everybody, I think if you can, you should not, and primarily, I would say, I think, and it would be Lorraine for Ward 3 council should try to be there, just
Well, she's also
To be
gonna,
there.
Well,
also
and
gonna-
that's why I said it should be, you know, 'cause just in case we get a large turnout,
I got all material to go
right? So I think, yeah. All right, I need a motion to move into closed session.
Make a motion to go into closed.
Moved by Counselor Deal, seconded by Counselor Sonia. No questions on the motion? All
Um,
those, what?
Sue, I'll send you another link for the closed session, so you can attend if you like.
Okey dokey.
Okay, so maybe
Yeah,
finish.
and I guess we want to go according to policy so that you make sure that nobody else is there.
Yes.
There's no other questions, no?
Wow.
All those in favor?
I
Against? None, move.